Did you know that the biting winds that whip across the steppes in winter, the crystalline frost that paints fantastical patterns on window panes, and the crunch of snow beneath your boots are not merely natural phenomena? They are whispers, echoes, of Morozko, the frost spirit, he who holds dominion over the frozen heart of winter. He is not merely cold. He is the cold, ancient, and powerful, a force of nature given form. My grandmother, her face a roadmap of wrinkles etched by time and wisdom, used to tell me stories of Morozko huddled by the crackling fire, the flames casting flickering shadows that danced like winter sprites. She spoke not of a cruel monster, but of a demanding judge, a spirit of the wild who rewarded resilience and punished weakness. One story, etched in my memory more vividly than any other, concerns a young maiden named Anya. She was as beautiful as the first snowfall, with hair like spun moonlight and eyes the color of a winter sky. But her beauty was eclipsed by the cruelty of her stepmother. Driven by jealousy and spite, the stepmother hatched a wicked plan. One frigid morning, under the guise of collecting firewood, she ordered Anya's father to take the girl deep into the frozen forest and leave her there, a sacrifice to the unforgiving winter. The father, a man worn down by his wife's venomous tongue, obeyed. He drove the sleigh, pulled by a weary horse, deeper and deeper into the woods, the silence broken only by the rhythmic squeak of runners on snow. When they reached a clearing, stark and white under the pale sun, he stopped. Tears froze on Anya's cheeks as she pleaded, but her father, his heart heavy with sorrow, turned away and left her there, a small, vulnerable figure swallowed by the vastness of the winter forest. The cold gnawed at Anya, sharp and insistent. Fear, a chilling serpent, coiled in her belly. As dusk began to paint the sky in hues of violet and gray, she heard the faintest jingle, like the chime of tiny ice bells. The trees around her creaked and groaned, and a figure began to coalesce from the swirling snow, tall and imposing, draped in a cloak of shimmering frost. His beard, long and white, reached almost to his knees, and his eyes, the color of glacial ice, held an ancient wisdom that both terrified and mesmerized. It was Morozko, the frost spirit. He circled Anya, his gaze piercing, assessing. "Why do you trespass in my domain, little dove?" His voice, a low rumble like the cracking of ice floes, echoed through the frozen trees. Anya, trembling with fear, told him her story, her voice thin and reedy against the backdrop of the howling wind. She spoke of her stepmother's cruelty, of her father's weakness, of her own despair. Morozko listened, his expression unchanging. When she finished, he raised a frosty hand and snapped his fingers. The temperature plummeted, the air growing so cold it felt as if it would shatter her lungs. "You say you are cold, little dove?" he asked, his voice devoid of emotion. Anya could barely speak, her teeth chattering violently. She nodded, tears freezing on her lashes. Morozko snapped his fingers again. This time, he conjured a magnificent fur coat, warmer than a bear's embrace. He draped it around Anya's shivering shoulders. "Are you still cold, little dove?" he asked again. Warmth spread through Anya's body, chasing away the biting chill. She shook her head, her voice barely a whisper. "No, Grandfather Frost." Morozko nodded, seemingly pleased. He then conjured a chest filled with jewels and gold, so bright they glittered even in the fading light. He placed it at Anya's feet. "You have shown respect and endured my test," he said. "Your kindness has warmed even my frozen heart. Return home now, little dove. These gifts are yours." And with another swirl of snow and the chime of ice bells, Morozko vanished, leaving Anya standing in the clearing, wrapped in warmth and surrounded by unimaginable riches. Anya returned home, her heart filled with gratitude. The stepmother, seeing the jewels and the magnificent fur coat, was consumed with envy and greed. She immediately ordered her own daughter, Marfa, a girl as spoiled and lazy as Anya was kind and hardworking, to go into the forest and find Morozko, believing he would shower her with even greater gifts. Marfa, bundled in furs and complaining every step of the way, reluctantly entered the forest. She, too, encountered Morozko, but unlike Anya, Marfa greeted him with arrogance and demands. She complained about the cold, she whined about the walk, and she demanded gifts even more lavish than her stepsisters. Morozko, his icy gaze unwavering, obliged. He gave her a magnificent gown woven from moonlight and a crown of icicles, but as Marfa preened and boasted, the gown turned to frost, clinging to her skin like a shroud, and the icicle crown froze her to the core. Her greed and disrespect had earned her not riches, but a frozen tomb in the heart of the winter forest. The stepmother waited, but Marfa never returned. The glittering treasures Anya brought home were a constant reminder of her own daughter's fate. Some say the stepmother eventually wandered into the forest herself, searching for Marfa, and met a similar icy end. And so, the tale of Anya and Marfa became a legend, whispered around crackling fires on long winter nights, a reminder that true strength lies not in wealth or beauty, but in kindness, resilience, and respect for the powers that govern the natural world. For Morozko, the frost spirit watches, judges, and rewards accordingly. He is the winter, unforgiving and beautiful, a force to be reckoned with, a power to be respected. And the wind continues to whisper his name across the frozen steppes, a chilling reminder of his presence, his power, and his unwavering judgment.